Formula One is about to flip its own script. Smaller, sharper cars, smarter aerodynamics, a battery that finally throws punches. And behind the scenes, a wave of ideas that could bring back the sound fans still dream about. This isn't just a rules refresh. It's a full reset that will expose who actually understands speed and who's been coasting on stability. The opening months of 2026 won't be neat. They'll be chaotic, revealing, and unmissable. The headlines you've seen only cover the surface. The real story lives where politics meet engineering. New aero toys that replace old tricks, an energy model that changes how drivers attack, and a power struggle over what F1 should feel like in the next decade. Let's cut through noise and follow the threads that matter. Before we dive in, if you love fast, fact-packed F1 deep dives with zero fluff, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps a ton and you won't miss the next chapter of this crazy season. Here's the short version. Cars get lighter and more compact, the wings move, and the energy system flips its priorities. Active aero replaces the old open wing, close wing thinking. Downforce on demand in corners, drag cut on the straights, so the car adapts to the track in the moment instead of being locked to a compromise. That's a huge deal for following closely and building real, repeatable overtakes. Under the skin, the power unit tilts toward electricity in a way F1's never attempted. The turbine-driven MGU-H disappears. The MGU-K becomes the main character, with a higher ceiling for energy deployment and harvesting. The goal isn't fewer decibels. It's a punchier, more flexible lap that blends combustion shove with electric torque when it matters, not just when the battery happens to be happy. The whole package runs on fully sustainable fuel, which is more than branding, it's policy, and it's locked into the regs. And then there's the buzzword that will dominate race radio: manual override. Think of it as an on-demand electrical burst designed to help a chasing car attack on longer straights. It's not a carbon copy of DRS. It's a reimagined push-to-pass that plays nicer with modern aero and returns passing skill to the driver's right foot and timing. The exact usage windows are defined in the rulebook, and crucially, they're being tuned so it's hard to game and easy to understand. Of course, none of this solves the core question fans keep asking. Can we get the theater back? The sound, the simplicity, the weight loss, without going backwards? 5 years ago, suggesting a return to V8s would get you a polite smile. Now, the FIA president is openly floating a modern, lighter, cheaper V8 concept running on fully sustainable fuel, with some hybrid retained, for as early as 2029 if the stars align. The argument? Simpler engine/costs, shed weight, and bring back the visceral hit the sport lost. The reality? It's an idea with momentum, not a signed plan. The 2026 rules still arrive on schedule. Rumors suggest a few manufacturers quietly like the math. Standardized bits plus a simpler ICE equals millions saved. Reports claim the fan appeal case is landing in the right rooms too. Sound is spectacle, and spectacle sells. But even the optimists frame this as a post-2030 conversation at the earliest. Translation: judge the 2026 era on the track before crowning what comes next. While the future gets debated, a quieter shift could change the sport in a way you actually feel, from your couch. Gearboxes used to move lap time, now they mostly move budgets. That's why standardized transmissions, a tighter fuel spec, and even some common hybrid components keep showing up in top-level conversations. The logic is brutal but fair. If a part doesn't decide the race, stop spending like it does. Free that money for mechanical grip, tire life, and aero efficiency, the things you do notice on Sundays. Fans don't buy tickets to see who sourced the priciest battery pack. They show up for pace, duels, and strategy swings. Reports claim standardizing non-performance hardware could cut weight and reduce failure risk without sterilizing the sport. And yes, the politics are messy. No one wants to give up a supplier deal that pays the bills. But if F1 finds consensus here, we'll feel it in better racing, not press releases. Cost control is the grown-up fix. The headline drama is the fear that 2026 cars will be awkward science projects. Let's separate myth from math. The scary version you've heard: cars coasting to save juice, weird downshifts on straights, long trains with no moves. Drivers have aired concerns, and some of the loudest critiques came before the latest tweaks landed. The FIA's answer has been consistent. Those nightmares lived on whiteboards, not on the final spec. They've adjusted how energy delivery ramps down, they're tuning harvesting limits by circuit profile, and they're continuing the feedback loop with teams. Expect more tweaks before the first lap, and a bunch more after it. That's how big resets work. Historical pattern check. Year 1 is noisy. Launch cars are conservative, updates arrive in waves, and the smartest organizations sprint away by learning faster. The rest follow, some by copying, others by gambling on a new concept mid-season. By the finale, the cars you're watching barely resemble their Australia spec. There will be growing pains. There will also be surprises that no sim predicted. That's not a bug, it's the point. If you're wondering whether F1 could dodge hybrid headaches by jumping to hydrogen, you're not alone. Hydrogen racing is real, not sci-fi. The tech is running in pilot programs. Extreme H is the next step in off-road. Endurance racing has mapped a path with a dedicated class. But building a safe, serviceable, wheel-to-wheel hydrogen Grand Prix package is a different beast. Packaging, refueling, safety, and consistent performance all bite at once. Even Le Mans slipped its full-fat hydrogen debut to 2027. F1 is watching closely, learning, not leading, because the timeline and complexity don't match sprint race weekends. Not yet. None of that kills the long-term potential. It just means the next era is hybrid heavy on sustainable fuel while hydrogen matures. It's patience, not rejection. While technology negotiates the future, format experiments are lining up at the door. Stefano Domenicali isn't pretending. Sprints are here because promoters want 2 race-style days and modern audiences want more high-stakes running. What's new is how openly he's discussing reverse grid elements for sprint races. That's not a decree, it's a conversation. F2 and F3 already invert portions of their grids. F1's version would need guardrails, so nobody games qualifying by lifting on purpose. It'll be tested, measured, and, if it sticks, iterated. That's the only way to get beyond hot takes and into data. The trap is predictability. If everyone knows how to optimize for an inverted sprint, Saturday becomes a spreadsheet exercise. The fix is clever format design, a single quali feeding both grids with a sealed inversion window, or a sprint-specific metric that's hard to manipulate. Expect pilots. Expect backlash. Expect it to evolve fast. Don't expect the schedule to shrink to make room. If anything, the calendar is growing teeth, and a new badge. F1's commercial logic has won the room. 24 races is the new normal. That keeps the sport in your feed, on your TV, and in front of new markets. Team fatigue is real, but the show doesn't slow down, and in 2026, it gets bigger. General Motors' Cadillac arrives as Team 11, officially approved, a landmark move that bends the sport toward its biggest growth market. They'll start with Ferrari power while GM's own unit targets a later debut under FIA timelines. That's a smart bridge. Get the ops right now, bring the full works punch when the engine is ready. Short-term expectations. Be realistic. New teams don't land in Q3 every Saturday. Reports claim Cadillac is staffing hard on both sides of the Atlantic, building reliability, pit stop rhythm, and update cadence. The interesting bit is their 2028-2030 window, exactly when the post-2030 rules could pivot again. If they read that room better than others, they could surf 2 waves instead of paddling behind both. So who's actually positioned to win a reset that hits chassis, aero, and energy at once? On paper, works alignment wins eras like this. Audi Sauber has the classic ingredients: deep investment, a clean sheet, and the mandate to build systems that talk to each other from day one. Aston Martin Honda is the other big swing. A hungry team mating with a hungry factory program, both motivated to prove they're more than flashes of brilliance. Red Bull Ford brings control of destiny, no more living at the mercy of someone else's engine roadmap. Ferrari and Mercedes, meanwhile, get to flex continuity plus brainpower and brute resource. That's the theory. The practice is never that neat. Huckles. Ask anyone who thought 2014 would be tight. The real battlegrounds, aero energy choreography. Whoever integrates active aero targets with MG UK deployment corner by corner, lap by lap, will gain seconds over a race distance, not tenths. Thermal headroom. Electric punch is sexy until heat soak forces you to detune. Run hotter for longer without braking, and strategy options double. Weight creep. The regs want lighter. Reality loves to add grams. Teams who hold the line unlock tire life on the house. Software brains. 2026 rewards organizations that think in code/hardware loops. Expect pit walls to drive more performance by unlocking windows the car already had. Format hacks. If reverse grid sprints get a trial, someone will quietly build a Friday car and a Sunday car within the rules. Watch the balance choices and Parc Fermé gambles. That's the chessboard. But if you zoom back out, there's a single storyline that ties it all together. F1 isn't just changing parts. It's renegotiating what fast looks like. The 2026 blueprint says lighter cars that breathe with the track, more decisive passes with a smarter overtake tool, and fuel that proves speed and sustainability can shake hands. The paddock is split between anxiety and ambition, which is exactly when the sport is most alive. Hydrogen can wait, sprints won't. Reverse grids might, if the pilots work. And an American heavyweight is rolling in with timing that could pay off twice, now and when the next era opens. If you love F1 when it's unstable and up for grabs, this is your era. The first races won't settle debates. They'll start better ones. And that's the sweet spot. Because in F1, uncertainty is where the great stories begin.